All right, push-ups. If you're relatively new to fitness, chances are push-ups are giving you a hard time. Even if you're fairly experienced with fitness, chances are you might not be doing push-ups optimally, okay? I wanna first show you guys what we're looking for in the push-up, ideally, and then 3 options for regressing that push-up and meeting you where you're at so we can attack usually one of the biggest issues for folks in the push-up, which is gaining full range of motion, right? So looking at the push-up, what we have is ideally a setup that allows us to get our biggest muscle groups involved in that horizontal press. Unfortunately, what a lot of people will do is they'll set up in such a way where they're really only able to access their triceps and shoulders in the setup, where their hands are really high. And when I say high, I mean this way, right? So high relative to their torso. So a lot of times people will stack themselves like this for their push-up. Now my hands are straight under my shoulders. So when I go down, you're gonna see a ton of bend in the elbow and the shoulder stacked right on top of the hand, right? Again, what I'm gonna work there, a lot of tricep, a lot of shoulder, pretty challenging to engage my pecs in that position, okay? In the setup instead, what I want you guys to create, play around with hand position. Everyone's got a little bit different arm lengths, right? And they're gonna find different positions are more leveraged and stronger for them than others. Play around with it and see where you can get the biggest range of motion through your shoulder blades, right? While keeping a nice tight stomach, how far can I protract and retract my shoulder blades, okay? If I have my hands really wide, I get limited in the back. I get blocked right in the front of the shoulder there and I can't go very far back. If I tuck my hands down and in just a little bit, suddenly I gain a huge range of motion and comfort and stretch on the pec there. That's my hand position, okay? Now that I've found it, you'll notice it's much lower on my body rather than here. Okay, so that's step 1 where a lot of people go wrong. So I want to get over and load my chest. From there, I'll start by protracting and then keeping my elbows stacked over my wrists and wrapping my pecs around my chest. What's super important to be able to do that and get the most out of my chest is that my stomach is tight, right? The pecs work by wrapping around the rib cage. If I'm not braced and I'm not tight here, which again, super common fault, I'll see this. People go to push and they extend, which makes it almost impossible for the pec to do its job and leverage itself around and against the rib cage, right? So really focus on your bracing. Put those 2 things together, hand placement and bracing, and you've got the foundation for your push-up. If we can't get them done in those positions in the way I mentioned, we're not yet strong enough. And this is super common. People often underestimate the difficulty of a push-up, okay? Here's a couple ways that we can regress it that still allow us access to the full range of motion. Because that's one of the biggest issues I see for folks trying to build it, is they'll do these very small range of motion push-ups for a bajillion reps, but they're not actually getting into the pecs in their full range of motion, so they're missing out on stimulating most of the fibers we want to. So option 1 is going to be changing your body weight by adding a band, right? If you've got a band and anything to attach it to above your head, we want to find just enough band that helps us get it done and no more. And the band is a great option, guys, in that when we're stacked at the top of the push-up, getting the least amount of help, we're strongest because our joints are stacked. As we get to the bottom of that push-up, in the most challenging position, the band starts to come on the strongest and evens out the challenge for us a bit and should allow you guys access to a bigger range of motion for more capacity. It'll look like this. I want to have that band right across my sternum and then line up so my body is right underneath the band. It's not going to be angled out or back. From there, everything we just talked about, right? Middle finger straight ahead. I want to think about protracting in the start, stomach super tight, and then wrap my pecs around my ribs and press. Next option is going to be to change the angle. So we'll go on an incline. This could be a bench. This could be some plates stacked for a lesser angle. Could be a bar and a rack if you have it. From there, same mechanics apply. We're going to brace and then think about protraction and retraction, wrapping pecs around chest, or around rib cage, excuse me. And then third and final option, guys, is simply going to be on the ground and taking advantage of our bigger strength in the eccentric than the concentric, meaning you're going to be stronger going down than you will be coming up, right? So we can go down from the feet and really slow that eccentric down, trying to milk it for 3 to 6 seconds. Looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then put the knees on the ground to take some weight off and push up and repeat. If you're somewhere in the middle and the push-up itself is accessible, but you can only get 1 or 2, this is another option where, again, we're gonna do the eccentric with the feet, concentric with the knees, and we're gonna add a little range of motion by elevating the hands. This can be a great way to bridge that gap. So we're here, controlled eccentric all the way down, knees on the ground, push up. So here's a few options for you guys. Hopefully that's helpful and gets you moving a little quicker towards your first push-ups.